to another development. I thank you and General Kakkar for joining us this evening on Nation at 5. Cracking down on that parallel funding through drug money is the biggest challenge. For the moment, going across to Executive Editor Bhupendra Chaubey, who's joined with Shobha Day, joining us live on the entire Abdul Basit claims. Over to you, Bhupendra.
Good evening, Shobha ji, and welcome to CNN News 18.
Hi.
Hi, Shobha ji. Good to always talk to you. Let me just first begin by asking you. I saw your latest tweet, Shobha ji, where you're saying you shall not engage with the liar. Period. You are basically saying that Basit Ali, the Pakistani diplomat, who's accusing you of writing an article under his influence, is nothing else but an outright lie.
Absolutely. There's no question about it, because even logically, if you look at the sequence of events, I have met him at the end of January 2019 for precisely 3 minutes at a very public function at the Jaipur Lit Fest. It was a publisher's party. 3 minutes. The column that he is referring to, which he claims he has influenced me, was published in 2016. I didn't know of this man's existence at that point. The first and last time I met him was at this Jaipur Lit Fest at a reception where he came up, introduced himself, went into overdrive, trying to engage me in conversation which I had no desire to pursue. And he, turned tail and ran when I said to him that you should really be talking to me or to the small group about China and its impact on you, on Pakistan, your economy, on POK, instead of focusing the attention on India and the Kashmir question. At which point he knew he wasn't getting anywhere, and he just picked up his whiskey tumbler and left.
But Shobha,
that has been our sole interaction.
Yeah, but I tell you what's happening in the interim, and I'm completely taking the position that you've taken that that Abdul Basit is outrightly lying. But look at what's happening in Pakistani media. Let me say there are certain of your, I don't know if I should call them colleagues or people who have consistently taken positions which are anti-positions which have been taken by you. They're pointing out to this article which you had written about Burhan Wani, which was in 2016. And specifically what is being mentioned, ma'am, is this. That it's almost you were, even in 2016, trying to romanticize the idea of Burhan Wani, who in the eyes of the Indian establishment was a terrorist. Were you romanticizing that? And if you were, to that extent, were you not providing fodder to the Pakistanis?
Look, I don't want to discuss whether it's fodder or it's not fodder for the Pakistani audience, who they're free to interpret it as they wish. It was, for me, a very independently expressed opinion. I've always expressed opinions without prejudice in a very independent voice, and that's what I've built my whole career on. It was a very emotive issue. It was at that point something I felt very strongly about, that the narrative since then has shifted, has changed. Things have changed on both sides, and particularly in Kashmir. And, something that was said in a moment which was a very, very sensitive moment was valid at that point, completely valid. It does not
change your position
mean
now?
that I'm either backtracking on it.
Yeah,
but
Shobha,
of course,
are you changing your positions now?
Nothing is fixed or written in gold. It's not about changing my position. Circumstances are different. The narrative has changed. It was perhaps an emotive response valid at that point. And today, it's a completely different story in the Valley. It's a completely different story post Article 370 being nullified. So one cannot just go on and on holding on to something and using it as a battering rod. It is not something that was said in a certain context, had value and meaning then. So I'm not concerned about how the Pakistanis are looking at it.
But
I'm more concerned about how my own country responds to my writing.
Of course. Therefore, I appreciate the fact, Shobha ji, that that you've chosen to clarify your position clearly. I was just going through your Twitter timeline, and I was looking at some of the tweets which you put out over the last few days, particularly since this 370 debate has hit national discourse. 5 days back, Shobha ji, you put out a tweet, 370 within a black frame, and your question is yes, question mark. You're questioning whether 370 abrogation, right, wrong. Again, the Pakistanis or the naysayers would say that Shobha Day is again doing something which will be used as ammunition by the Pakistanis. How do you silence them then?
That is their problem. It is not my problem. I do not tweet for the benefit of Pakistanis or for anybody else or of that kind who wants to maybe twist however it suits them to twist a tweet or twist a column or twist an opinion that's perhaps expressed today with you. It is not my intention to be provocative for the sake of being provocative, but yes, I believe in speaking my mind, and in a democracy, every citizen has that right. And to speak it without favor, without prejudice, regardless of which political party is in power, our job as commentators is to question. It was a question mark, and I think all questions are valid, and it's up to the establishment, it's up to the state to respond, not respond, or do whatever they think is best in the larger interests of the country. And I have not questioned it. It's a done deal. And perhaps long term, this is really the kind of strong messaging, the strong action that was required. It was perhaps something that for 70 years we have tried to sweep under the carpet or be in a sense of denial. We don't want to confront some ugly truths. But maybe the time has come where we needed to do this. So even if I now say that, it does not mean that I have no right to question it at the time when I did.
So can I just be clear? Are you therefore today saying that this abrogation of Article 370 is a move whose time had come? Are you willing to say that clearly today?
Yes, I'm absolutely willing to say that. I'm willing to say that it's a very positive step in the right direction, and I hope and pray that it doesn't stop just with this nullification, and that there's a huge amount of work that has to be carried forward from this point on. A very bold decision has been taken, maybe a highly unpopular decision has been taken, and only history will be able to decide long term whether it was the right decision taken at the right time. We are too close to it. But from all appearances, it certainly strikes me as being something that maybe will lead to a way of resolving what has been a festering wound with a very, very little sense of hope. There is some hope. It's going to take time, but we have to also make the right moves and reassure the people in the valley that, it's something that is in their interests.
How would you then, in conclusion, Shobha, how would you respond, to the likes of Ashok Pandit and Anupam Kher or Vivek Agnihotri, who always look for these opportunities to question your nationalism, to question your patriotism?
I am not answerable to any of these three men, and we are all aware of their political ideology. We are all aware of what they seek from the current government in power. I have no such obligations. I don't owe anybody anything, least of all men like the people that you have mentioned. I speak my mind, and I hope I continue to fearlessly do so in future. I retain my right to say it the way I see it. And
but are you under pressure today?
For it.
But
I am not here to answer.
Are you
under
any kind of pressure? Because for the first time, the Pakistanis have now taken this position that Shobha Day is batting for Pakistani interests. Now, you've taken this position that they're lying, but does it in any ways complicate scenario for you?
Not. Look, for me, it's very important that two countries with contentious issues resolve whatever the outstanding problems are in a way that is fair to both. And I am not someone who advocates in any sense war, violence, or nor do I ever condone it, regardless of who is the perpetrator. So I believe everything is possible through sensible dialogue, and I will continue to maintain that position, regardless of who's trolling or who thinks I'm being this way or that way or changing my mind. This has been my consistent position. It will remain so.
All right, Shobha, always a pleasure speaking to you, and may you continue to speak out candidly as you always speak. Thank you so much, Shobha Day, for joining us on this edition of Viewpoint. Let's move to a short break. Anand Narasimhan back on the other side.